Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what a man really thinks about when he's alone, or when the lights are dim and the world feels like it's just you and him? I'm not talking about the usual compliments or surface level attraction. I'm talking about the secret fantasies he's never daring enough to tell you. The ones that feel thrilling, maybe even a little taboo, but that stay locked away in his mind because he's afraid you might judge him, or worse, misunderstand him. Imagine for a moment if you could peek inside that world, understand what excites him, what truly turns him on, and how you could ignite that spark without saying a word. That's exactly what I'm about to reveal. Because here's the truth. Men have deep desires, just like women do, but society has conditioned them to keep them hidden. They don't want to look weak, silly, or needy, so they bottle up fantasies that are often emotional, playful, and yes, intensely sexy, but the key is they almost never share them. And here's where it gets exciting for you. When you know what's on his mind, when you understand his secret wants, you step into a powerful position not to manipulate, but to connect on a level most women never reach. You become someone who can make him feel understood, admired, and magnetically drawn to you without ever forcing a thing. Today, I'm going to uncover 5 hidden sexual fantasies men have but rarely admit them. Ones that ignite desire, passion, and intimacy in ways you may have never imagined. From fantasies that give him a thrilling sense of power, to ones that tap into forbidden excitement, deep romance, adventurous exploration, and emotional validation. These are the desires that fuel his imagination, his attraction, and yes, his longing for you. So, if you've ever wanted to understand what truly turns him on, if you've ever wondered how to make him feel irresistibly drawn to you without even trying too hard, stay right here. Because by the end of this video, you won't just know what he fantasizes about, you'll know exactly how to tap into those fantasies in a way that's playful, sexy, and completely safe, leaving him thinking about you long after the moment is over. Get ready. This is the side of men no one talks about until now, the first hidden fantasy men rarely share is all about power, but not in the way most women think. This isn't about domination, control, or anything aggressive. It's about the thrill of being needed, trusted, and respected in a way that makes him feel confident and desirable. Men secretly crave moments where they can take the lead, make decisions, and be the one driving the intimacy. But here's the nuance. It only works if he feels you are willing and eager to let him lead without feeling forced or pushed aside. That's what makes this fantasy so potent. Think about it. When a man senses that a woman genuinely trusts him to take the initiative, something shifts in his mind. He feels competent, admired, and even a little powerful in the most seductive way. And it's not just about sexual intimacy, it can happen in subtle everyday moments too. When you ask him for advice, let him choose the date spot, or even allow him to plan a night that surprises you, you awaken that sense of power. And here's the secret: the more he feels appreciated for taking the lead, the stronger the emotional and sexual pull becomes. This fantasy is deeply psychological. Men want to feel like they can make a woman feel good, not just physically, but emotionally, intellectually, and romantically. It's why even small gestures, like allowing him to initiate touch or take charge in subtle ways, can ignite desire in ways words alone never could. It's the balance between his sense of authority and your willingness to enjoy and surrender to the moment that makes this fantasy so electric. But here's the key: you can't fake it. Men are masters at detecting inauthenticity, and this fantasy only works when he believes your trust and desire are genuine. That's why playful teasing, seductive smiles, and intentional glances are more powerful than any direct command. You're giving him permission to feel wanted and powerful while still keeping the connection fun, flirty, and safe. It's this delicate dance that fuels one of his most hidden fantasies, the feeling that he's the one creating pleasure and excitement and you're fully enjoying it. Another reason this fantasy is so seductive is because it taps into a deeper need, validation. Men often fear failure or inadequacy in intimate situations, so when they are trusted and appreciated for taking the lead, it feeds their confidence and reinforces his attraction to you. The subtle power exchange, him leading, you enjoying, creates tension, excitement, and a magnetic pull that is almost impossible to resist. Ladies, understanding this fantasy isn't about manipulation, it's about connection. It's about recognizing that men want to feel capable, admired, and desired, and giving him the space to feel that while you stay playful, sexy, and fully engaged. When you embrace this, intimacy transforms. It becomes a dance of anticipation, trust, and mutual desire. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word can awaken his secret fantasy in a way that feels natural, thrilling, and irresistibly sexy. So next time you're with him, try letting him take the lead in small, playful ways. Watch how he lights up, how his confidence grows, and how your connection deepens. Because when a man experiences this fantasy in the right way, he isn't just attracted, he's captivated, enchanted, completely hooked on you. The second hidden fantasy men rarely talk about is the forbidden or slightly taboo scenario. Now, before your imagination runs wild, let me clarify, we're not talking about anything illegal or harmful. This fantasy is about the thrill of the unexpected, the excitement of breaking routine, and the irresistible pull of naughtiness in a safe, consensual way. Men crave moments that feel adventurous, exciting, and just a little dangerous because it triggers their imagination and heightens desire in ways that ordinary intimacy simply can't. Think about it for a second. Daily life is predictable. There are routines, responsibilities, and pressures. Men, like women, crave moments that feel spontaneous, thrilling, and a little outside the ordinary. That's where the forbidden fantasy comes in. It's that spark of excitement when something feels slightly off limits but completely safe. It's a glance that lingers, a teasing touch in the middle of a crowded room, or a playful whisper that promises a secret just between the two of you. These moments feed his imagination in a way that words alone cannot. One reason this fantasy is so intoxicating is that it taps into psychological thrill. The brain responds to novelty, surprise, and the forbidden by releasing dopamine, the chemical of excitement and desire. Men often fantasize about scenarios where they can explore this thrill with a partner they trust. Someone who is playful, curious, and willing to push boundaries, but always in a way that feels safe and consensual. That tension between risk and safety, desire and restraint makes the experience unforgettable. Ladies, you can awaken this fantasy without saying a word. Subtlety is key. A teasing text during the day that hints at your playful side, a surprise kiss in a private corner, or even a little game of cat and mouse in conversation can send his mind racing. It's not about doing something outrageous. It's about creating an anticipation and thrill that feels exciting and emotionally charged. Men love the idea of being part of a secret, shared experience. It makes them feel desired and alive in a way everyday interactions rarely do. Another reason this fantasy is so magnetic is that it allows him to explore his bold, adventurous side without fear of judgment. Men often hide their desire to be spontaneous or daring because they worry about looking reckless or foolish. When you embrace the playful, teasing energy of the forbidden fantasy, you give him permission to indulge that side of himself while staying fully engaged with you. That's why these moments feel so intimate and bonding. They're both exciting and deeply connecting. And here's the beauty. This fantasy isn't just about physical intimacy. It's about emotional connection, trust, and the thrill of being fully seen by someone who embraces your adventurous side. It can be small gestures or subtle interactions that ignite desire, tension, and longing. When a man experiences this, he doesn't just feel turned on, he feels understood, alive, and deeply attracted to the woman who can make him feel that way. So the next time you want to ignite his secret desires, lean into a little safe, forbidden play. Tease him with a wink, send a playful, suggestive message, or introduce a small element of surprise into your interactions. Watch how it sparks his imagination, fuels his attraction, and create a connection that's thrilling, intimate, and completely addictive. This is the fantasy he rarely admits, but once awakened, it keeps him thinking about you long. After the moment is over, the third hidden fantasy men rarely admit is surprisingly romantic. Yes, you heard that right, romance. Many women assume men are purely physical in their desires, focused only on attraction and lust, but the truth is far more nuanced. Men secretly crave moments where they feel deeply adored, emotionally connected, and completely appreciated. This isn't about clichés like roses or chocolates. It's about experience intimacy on a level that feels profound, intentional, and unforgettable. Imagine this. A man wants to feel like he's the center of your attention, that every touch, Every glance and every whispered word is intentional. He wants to know that you notice him not just for his body, but for his effort, his mind, and the way he makes you feel. This is a fantasy that is deeply emotional, and yet incredibly sexy because it blends desire with connection. When a man experiences this, he doesn't just feel attracted, he feels wanted, valued, and irresistibly drawn to you. The beauty of the romantic fantasy is that it taps into a man's need for validation and emotional intimacy. Men want to feel that their actions matter, that their gestures, their touch, and their presence are appreciated. When you respond with admiration, gentle touches, or meaningful compliment, you awaken a fantasy that is rarely discussed but profoundly fulfilling. This isn't flattery. It's intentional attention that communicates desire, respect, and genuine connection. Romance in a man's fantasy is also about the sensation of being seen. Men secretly fantasize about moments where they feel fully understood and admired by a woman they desire. Whether it's a quiet evening where your eyes meet and linger, a tender conversation where he feels heard, or a subtle gesture that shows him he's appreciated, these moments create a magnetic pull. They transform ordinary intimacy into something electric, exciting, and emotionally charged. Another reason this fantasy is so powerful is that it makes men feel safe to express vulnerability. While many men hide their romantic or emotional desires, they long for a partner who can meet them there without judgment. When you show him attention, affection, and appreciation, you tap directly into a side of his mind and heart that few people ever see. That's why combining romance with subtle playfulness or flirtation makes it irresistible. It's the perfect mix of intimacy and excitement. Ladies, the romantic fantasy doesn't require grand gestures. It's in the details, a lingering touch, a shared laugh, a whispered compliment, or simply being fully present in a moment together. These gestures communicate to him that he's deeply desired, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. This is the side of men that crave connection and admiration, and when you give it to him, it strengthens desire, trust, and intimacy in ways that are truly magnetic. So the next time you want to captivate him on a deeper level, remember this romance isn't just about gestures, it's about intentionality, presence, and genuine admiration. Tap into this fantasy and you'll notice the shift immediately. He won't just be attracted to you, he'll be enchanted, captivated, and longing for more of your attention, your touch, and your presence. By embracing this hidden romantic fantasy, you step into a powerful space where desire meets connection, creating intimacy that is unforgettable, electric, and utterly irresistible. The fourth hidden fantasy men rarely share is all about adventure and novelty. Men crave excitement, variety, and the thrill of doing something unexpected with someone they trust. While many women assume men are predictable or routine-oriented, the truth is that men secretly fantasize about moments that break the ordinary, spark curiosity, and inject a sense of playful risk into their lives. This isn't about recklessness or danger, it's about exploring new experiences together in a safe, enticing, and seductive way. Imagine this. He's at home, caught in the rhythm of work, stress, and everyday life, and suddenly you introduce a playful twist, a spontaneous day idea, an unexpected flirty message, or a moment of intimacy he didn't anticipate. That surprise, that spark of the unknown, taps directly into his fantasy of adventure. Men love to feel alive, to feel challenged in a playful way, and to share new, exciting experiences with a partner who is willing to explore alongside them. It's the thrill of discovering something new together that heightens attraction and deepens emotional connection. The adventurous fantasy works on both a psychological and emotional level. Men crave novelty because it stimulates the brain's reward system, triggering dopamine, the chemical that makes us feel excited, curious, and desirous. When you tap into this, even small acts of playful spontaneity can ignite desire in ways that routine, predictable interactions never could. It could be as simple as a flirtatious surprise in the middle of the day, or as elaborate as a spontaneous weekend getaway. The key is creating a sense of unpredictability while maintaining emotional intimacy and safety. This fantasy also allows men to explore sides of themselves they often hide. Men may have an adventurous, playful, or daring side that they suppress out of fear of judgment. By engaging in safe, consensual novelty, you give him permission to indulge that side without hesitation. This is incredibly magnetic because it makes him feel seen, appreciated, and understood, not just for who he is in everyday life, but for his secret, exciting dimensions. The feeling of freedom to explore is intoxicating, and it builds a bond that's thrilling, playful, and deeply intimate. Another reason the adventurous fantasy is so powerful is that it blends fun with emotional connection. Men are drawn to women who are confident, curious, and willing to engage in playful experimentation. When you participate in shared adventures, whether small or grand, you create a sense of partnership, mutual excitement, and intimacy that strengthens attraction. It's the mix of novelty and connection that makes him feel alive, desired, and irresistibly pulled toward you. Ladies, the secret to igniting this fantasy is subtlety, creativity, and confidence. You don't have to plan an elaborate adventure every time. You just need to introduce small surprises, playful risks, or unexpected moments of intimacy that awaken his imagination and his desire. Texts that tease a secret, spontaneous touches, or even a playful roleplay scenario can make him feel exhilarated and deeply connected to you. This is a fantasy he rarely admits. Yet when awakened, it creates longing, excitement, and attraction that's hard to resist. So, if you want to tap into one of a man's most potent hidden fantasies, embrace adventure. Be playful, be daring, and show that you are willing to explore new experiences together. The result? A man who feels alive, captivated, and magnetically drawn to you, someone who craves your attention, your touch, and your presence, all while enjoying the thrill of the unexpected. This is the fantasy that transforms ordinary moments into unforgettable experiences, igniting desire, intimacy, and an undeniable connection that keeps him thinking about you long after the moment is over. Fifth hidden fantasy men rarely admit is the validation fantasy. Many women think men are all about physical desire, but in reality, men crave to feel seen, appreciated, and admired, not just superficially, but in ways that touch their ego, their effort, and their emotional investment. This fantasy isn't about flattery or exaggeration. It's about genuine acknowledgement that they are desired, capable, and effective in making you feel good. Men want to feel like their presence, their touch, and their actions matter. When you recognize that, you awaken a side of him he almost never shares. Think about it. Men are often judged by society to be strong, capable, and in control, which can make it hard for them to admit they want affirmation. They want to feel that their efforts, whether in romance, intimacy, or life, are noticed and appreciated by the woman they desire. This is where the validation fantasy comes into play. He secretly imagines moments where a woman not only enjoys what he does for her, but actively admires and desires him for it. This fantasy feeds his confidence, his ego, and his attraction, creating a cycle of desire that's both emotional and physical. Validation is subtle, yet incredibly powerful. It doesn't require grand gestures. It can be as simple as a whispered "I love the way you make me feel," a playful compliment on his skills, or even a look that communicates genuine admiration. When you do this, you tap into a hidden desire that men rarely vocalize. It's about showing him that he is enough, that he excites you, and that you appreciate him fully. The effect is magnetic. He feels acknowledged in ways that go far beyond superficial attraction, which deepens intimacy and fuels desire. This fantasy also has a psychological depth. Men often suppress the need for emotional validation because society teaches them to be stoic and self-reliant. When you recognize his efforts and show appreciation in a genuine, sensual, and playful way, you create a safe space for him to indulge in a fantasy he secretly craves. It's empowering for him, and it makes him feel deeply connected to you. When a man experiences validation in this way, he doesn't just feel attracted, he feels loyal, devoted, and magnetically drawn to the woman who sees him in this light. Another reason this fantasy is so irresistible is that it blends emotional intimacy with sexual attraction. Men want to feel desired in a way that goes beyond the physical. They want to feel competent, appreciated, and admired for their ability to give pleasure, provide protection, or simply be himself. When you feed this fantasy, you aren't just making him feel good, you're creating a connection that is deep, emotional, and incredibly sexy. Ladies, the key to awakening the validation fantasy is subtlety, consistency, and genuine attention. Compliment him authentically, acknowledge his efforts, and show appreciation for both his personality and his actions. Watch how it transforms the energy between you, how he becomes more confident, more attentive, and more drawn to you emotionally and physically. When a man feels fully validated, desire skyrockets. He experiences intimacy on a level few women ever reach, and he can't help but feel deeply connected to you. So, embrace this fantasy. Recognize, admire, and affirm him in ways that feel natural, sexy, and intentional. When you do, you unlock one of a man's most secret desires, a fantasy he rarely admits, but one that, once awakened, make him irresistibly attracted, loyal, and endlessly captivated by you. This is the hidden key to emotional and sexual intimacy, creating a connection that's unforgettable, intoxicating, and completely magnetic. So there you have it, ladies. 5 hidden sexual fantasies men rarely share, but secretly crave. The power fantasy, where he feels trusted and desired while taking the lead. The forbidden fantasy, full of playful thrills and unexpected excitement. The romantic fantasy, where he longs to be adored and deeply appreciated. The adventurous fantasy, where novelty and exploration ignite desire. And finally, the validation fantasy, where genuine admiration and acknowledgement make him feel irresistible. Understanding these fantasies isn't about manipulation, it's about connection. It's about stepping into a space where you can engage his mind, heart, and desire all at once. When you tap into these secret corners of his imagination, you become a woman who isn't just attractive, you become unforgettable. Every glance, every playful tease, every moment of appreciation or intimacy becomes a spark that keeps him thinking about you long after you're together. Here's the secret: it's not about trying too hard. It's about subtlety, confidence, and authenticity. Let him feel trusted, adored, and appreciated. Introduce playful excitement, safe adventure, and moments that stir his imagination. Watch how he responds, how his energy shifts, and how your connection deepens in ways you may never have imagined. So here's what I want you to do next. Observe, flirt, tease, and connect. Use these insights to awaken his hidden fantasies, build magnetic attraction, and create intimacy that is thrilling, emotional, and unforgettable. Ladies, when you understand these 5 fantasies and weave them naturally into your connection, you're not just creating desire, you're igniting a bond that's irresistible, electric, and deeply magnetic. Remember, the power isn't just in knowing what he wants, it's in making him feel it with every glance, every touch, and every shared moment. Start today and watch the transformation. You won't just capture his attention, you'll captivate his heart.